The bitter truth for those who oppose organ transplants is that the procedure can and does save lives. In China's southern Guangdong province, a couple donated the organs of their daughter who was killed in a traffic accident. The move eventually saved 3 people's lives and helped 2 others regain their eyesight. Li Baoyi was 20 when she was badly wounded on her way home from a festival last month. With serious injuries, Li showed signs of brain death a couple of weeks later. And her heartbroken parents say though her organs have been passed on, Li continues to live on in their hearts.
It's an honour for us as parents to donate my daughter's organs, as it can save people's lives. She would be very happy in the other world, and she remains in our hearts forever.
I discussed over the decision with my wife the whole night. My daughter was always ready and happy to help others.
Sulaiman Ghani is the Imam at a South London mosque and a prominent speaker on television. Last week, a British newspaper cited him as saying post-mortem organ donations were tantamount to desecration and not allowed in Islam. Sheikh Sulaiman is a chaplain at Tooting St George's Hospital. He's now being called to defend his position there, given his personal beliefs go against this medical procedure.
So you would have the opinion saying, under no circumstances, given that we have no clear evidence in the Quran, it will say that it's not permissible.
If prominent imams like Ghani refuse to accommodate medical progression in our faith, are Britain's Muslims falling behind?
Unfortunately, we have a lot of people who are unaware of the context, speaking about something that very heavily relies on the context. So people who know a lot about Sharia, know a lot about Deen, but know nothing about healthcare, are giving views, and that is not healthy to the discussion, because you need to know about the health-specific issues.
I mean, this is what we say, that if something, yes, we need to look at it, because there are those that have investigated, they have understood, they have now consulted with the medical professionals, and as the opinions have evolved, opinions may now vary, that we cannot categorically, tell somebody that it is not permissible. We'll have to give him the chance to look, understand both the viewpoints, and leave it to his own discretion. Why? Because he may claim and say that where is the evidence? So we don't have evidence, and hence most of the laws pertaining to organ donation is by analogical deductions. It is deduced.
The problem with Sheikh Sulaiman's analysis is that most of the world's scholars now agree that saving a life, or as in the Chinese case, 5 lives, is far more important for humanity and for our own inner fulfillment.
The majority now are in favour of cadaveric donation. That includes European Council for Fatwa and Research, Al-Azhar Academy in Egypt. It includes in Jeddah, the Islamic Fiqh Academy in Jeddah of the OIC.
Imam Ajmal Masroor vehemently defends organ donations.
Allah has given you and I a body as a carrier to a soul that is to unite our body in the Day of Judgment. This carrier that He has given you and I is for benefit of me and for humanity. Isn't our brain an amana? And yet we share it with everybody. If brain is an amana, I think the biggest amana of all amanas would be brain. And we are very happy to share that brain with everybody else. In other words, our thought process, our intellect, and everything that is produced by the brain. Isn't our tongue an amana? And we express ourselves constantly through language. Isn't our hands an amana? We write. All of these are amanas. If we become so insular and we say the body is an amana and therefore we're not able to share and give anybody anything from it, then stop talking, stop writing, and stop using your brain.
One thing that doesn't exist is being selective in your approach. There's not one scholar who says that you're allowed to receive organs, but you're not allowed to give. So if you're finding yourself that you would happily receive an organ in that situation, then it's morally reprehensible to say, no, I won't give, because that's inconsistent in the approach. There's not one scholar. Those who say no across the board. Those who say yes across the board.
Abul Hussein is the president of Luton's Bury Park Mosque. 3 years ago, he was diagnosed with kidney failure and put on a waiting list to receive a kidney. Mr. Hussein says he was lucky to only wait 6 months before that all-important call came through.
Well, that is a very, very hard time emotional for myself and for my family. I thought I'll be waiting for 2 years or something, as I've heard from previous people and the doctor saying that it is your luck. We have to find a matching and also quite close matching. And therefore, it was quite shocking. It came at 5 o'clock in the morning when there was a very cold weather and snowing going on.
It's been nearly 2 years since Mr. Hussein received his new kidney, and he says it's still difficult to express in words the difference it has made to his life.
Yeah, it is a big difference. It is a big difference because going through dialysis, you see, it's like an everyday thing. We go 3 times a week. You spend 4 to 5 hours in the unit, sometimes 6 hours waiting for your turn to come. So 6 hours a day is like, by the time you go there and you're exhausted. And with my other illnesses, I used to be sometimes very bad, feel sick, and I used to lose the appetite. Many a times I couldn't do anything on that day. The next day you begin to get a little bit better, but it's time to go again. So it's like you're never free. It's like a 7-day thing, and it's in your mind. You can't eat this, you can't eat that, like a lot of things. Potassium you have to control. No bananas, no pears, no tomatoes, and the list goes on and on. And main thing is the water. It's the killer. My wife and my children, they used to be behind me all the time. Dad, don't drink water, don't drink water. It's a constant battle because you feel you need to drink.
Abul Hussein's job as president of his local mosque means he's frequently in charge of organising funerals for Muslims in his area. He says it's easy to understand why some people are reluctant to put their loved ones under the knife for a post-mortem organ donation.
And I see people being post-mortem, and the way the body is left sometime finishing the post-mortem, it is quite scary because the job is not finished very nicely, just stitching and everything else.
He seemed content and happy when we interviewed him, and this morning Abul Hussein flew out on holiday to the Middle East, where he and his family aim to travel around 3 different countries. It's difficult to imagine that without that kidney transplant, Abul Hussein may not have been here to talk to us for this report. But even though the vast majority of Islamic scholars say it's permissible, the act of donating organs after death remains perceived with considerable distrust by the general Muslim public. At least we found that to be the case in Britain. For many of the world's Muslims, the issue has become a clear-cut medical matter. Without organ transplants, many avoidable deaths are likely to occur. And scholars say there's not only a need, but a duty upon us to consider how our passing may help others to enjoy their lives better. It is, after all, just another medical procedure.
It's completely a no-brainer in my view. Sharing body parts, especially if it's not going to harm you, is fantastic.
Many Muslims will say our bodies are a trust from Allah or an amana. If then we are not the complete owners of our kidneys, liver or heart, then as we move on into an afterlife, can't that trust be inherited and perhaps more importantly, enjoyed by another?